I'm Courtney.
And I'm Emily. And this is Cheers to That. And we've done a book club edition this week, but now we're hitting you with a show edition. First ever. Breaking news.
We're doubling up.
Yeah, we're doubling up on content. Usually, if you've listened to our episodes before, we have like a reading, listening, watching section we do at the beginning of every show. But we have so many thoughts.
We have so many thoughts. So we really needed to separate book club, make that like a little mini episode for people interested, which I actually really like that idea. So now this is our full blown, like, let's get to it. We have so much to get to.
So much to get to.
And now I'm thinking, wait, what do we have to get to?
Well, I thought we were only talking about the show. So
no, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
That's
like,
fine.
Wait, what?
Well, there's just no. We don't have to prepare anything. So are we just going to get into it?
Why not?
Okay. Well,
shall we? But I
have a couple of things like before we get to the actual thing, though. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just like, I don't have any thoughts in my brain right now.
Please just give me like feedback on everything. So we'll just do like a little reading, watching, listening like episode, I guess, because I just watched, and I'm going to get the name right this time, Mufasa on Disney today because it just released. It was so good.
Is Blue Ivy in this one?
That's a great
Jay-Z and
question.
Beyonce's daughter.
What? She might be. I thought
think she
I heard
is.
a little bit of like Rihanna, but it might have been Blue Ivy.
It's just, maybe. I don't know if there's anything alike.
I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
I
I actually don't know any of the characters. I think Seth Rogen is in it as Pumbaa.
Oh, I was going to say he's very Pumbaa.
He is Pumbaa.
Who's Timon? Can you look this up?
Yes.
I'm so curious.
So I wasn't planning on watching this at all, and it came on. And what's funny was I was like, I'll just sit down for like 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna do laundry. I didn't even pick up my phone during the movie. Like I was entranced. The kids were not, but I was. I was like, shh, children, I've got to watch Mufasa.
Don't you hate whenever you're more into the kid movie than your kids?
Yes.
Because you're like, we're watching this, and they're like, can you turn on Bluey or something? And it's like, no.
Tucker came up to me, Papa, for Paw Patrol, Papa, and I was like, no, we've watched Papa 20 times this week. I'm gonna watch Mufasa. Okay, Blue Ivy is Kiera. So she had like a little voice, so I didn't recognize. Let's see who else.
Well, Blue Ivy's, I think she's 14. She's little.
She is little. Oh, Beyonce's Nala. Oh, okay. Let's see. Donald Glover is Simba.
Oh, yeah. Childish Gambino.
Oh, Billy. How do you say his last name?
Eichner.
That's Timon.
That's very Timon.
Okay.
Very Timon.
Seth Rogen, yes, is Pumbaa.
Very Pumbaa. Did they sing Hakuna Matata?
They tried to do like a little rendition of it, but it wasn't the original. So I am telling you, though, it was so good, except... Again, why does every Disney movie have to deal with like losing your parents in one way or another? Always.
And like not just losing your parent, watching your parent die a slow, painful death. And then you move on to the next musical number. Like what?
Well, and your 5-year-old is supposed to, Mom Trom, right here, that Addie asked me, she goes, this is not funny. I'm nervous laughing. This is not funny at all. But she's like, because in the movie Mufasa, it shows like his childhood, and he gets lost from his mom and dad. And so it alludes to like maybe they're dead, maybe they're not. We don't know. So it's the story of like how he gets back to the mom and dad, except the dad at the end is like, he finds out is dead. I guess he just died randomly. So this whole time he's trying to get back to his parents, and he only finds his mom.
Oh.
It's
but
so
also
sad.
I just put it together just now in this moment, even though you've said Mufasa 12 times, so this is not the Lion King.
Yes, no, it is.
But it's called Mufasa.
Yes, so the Lion King, it's the second one. It's like a spin-off of it because it's showing Mufasa's childhood. Like, how did he get to be Mufasa and have Simba?
Okay.
So
it's
before
not...
it's actually the origin story of Mufasa and Scar.
It's like a prequel.
Yes.
Is Scar an asshole as in his childhood?
No.
Oh,
He's
honey.
so
They did a
sweet.
redemption arc.
Yeah, barely. But yes. No. They did. He was so sweet. He was like excited to have a brother. But then it's a woman, a lioness that tears them apart. But like Mufasa is like such a good-hearted lion, and
do you have a crush on?
Like he's just so sweet, and Scar just could not handle that. The love of his life like didn't want him.
Is it Nala?
I think Nala. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Simba's mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Spicy.
But Addie asked me why my dad is alive, but not my mom. Like she wanted to know. That's why I was nervous laughing.
Because she always hits with like the craziest questions where I'm like,
yeah, so because his parents were like both missing, and she's like, well, why is your dad alive but not your mom? And so like I had to explain to her all of that. She also commented at the very beginning, whoever, I don't even know which lion it was, Kiera, I think at the beginning, and she's like, wow, she has highlighter on. And I said, what do you mean by highlighter? Because I didn't know what she actually, if she knew. She goes, she has it like on her cheeks like you do. She has highlighter on.
why is she 17?
I was like, oh,
She knows more than me.
I didn't know what a highlighter was until I was like 20.
No, I was in college. Like, okay. Not surprised,
But-
Adeline.
10 out of 10 movie.
Okay,
Like,
I'm gonna watch
you
it.
have to watch it. It's so good. The graphics, amazing. Amazing.
I'm in. You've sold me.
Okay.
You've sold me.
Perfect.
I'll try my best. You know, the TV Nazi lives here,
Yeah.
so we'll
Yes.
see what we can get Fielding to agree to. But sometimes he'll get into things, so we'll see. We'll try.
Or you just suffer through it and tell your kids to like at least go play while you finish watching their show.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. The last thing I want to talk about before we really get into the meat of the story is until the meat and potatoes, which I cooked shepherd's pie this past week thanks to you, and it was so freaking good. I can't quit thinking about it.
I'm here to fatten everyone up.
It was so good.
Like, do you guys want fattening recipes? You found your girl.
I didn't even feel like it was that bad, honestly.
It could be worse. It's chicken pot pie adjacent.
Yeah, I just did not feel like it was bad at all. I had like homegrown hamburger meat that I cooked it with. I did some vegetables.
Homegrown. I'm like, in your garden? I know what you mean. Yeah.
Pops up a stick of, stick of
That's
hamburger.
where the logs come from. Just ground beef logs. Anyways,
But I'm all over the place
Yes. No,
now.
you're fine.
Okay, I listened to, and I wanted to talk about this, the Good Guys episode.
oh, I haven't listened,
You
but I need to hear it.
listen. I mean, I guess it didn't like reveal that much, but Drake Bell came on to the podcast with what's his
Josh.
face? I'm going blank. Josh Peck.
Okay.
And just talked a little bit about like their time together on their show.
Mhm.
And you know, they spent a lot of time, I think, like apart and not talking.
Yeah.
And I think Drake has like done a lot of growing, but he's also, I guess he had a documentary that came out about him. Did you ever watch it?
I didn't watch it, but I've heard it referenced. So there was a documentary that came out about like all of the Nickelodeon stuff from that. That's what I know of. I don't know if there's one that's specifically for Drake Bell as
It
well.
might be the Nickelodeon one.
But there was one talking about, I think his name was Dan Harmon, that was abusing like all of the kids.
and
at Nickelodeon.
Brian Peck, which is not
Yes.
related to
Josh Peck.
Josh Peck.
Very unfortunate. Same name.
Yes, I know. How horrible.
Well, and look at these two boys who went on such different paths. Like Josh Peck is married and has children, and like he struggled with alcoholism and drugs.
Yes,
But
he's sober now, though.
He's sober, and Drake, I think, struggled a lot longer.
And I think he's still struggling a little bit.
Mm.
He even moved to Mexico and like started doing music down there, like just trying to find his way.
Yeah.
It's just a horrible situation. And I went down like a TikTok rabbit hole a little bit. And Brian Peck, which is one of the men that abused him, even worked, like he went as far back as working with Leonardo DiCaprio whenever he was a teenager, and like seeing a video of them interacting was sickening. Like I had to stop watching. I just wanted to know like the detail, you know, but I couldn't watch it just like how he was interacting with Leonardo DiCaprio, and then it makes you think like, well, no wonder there's something wrong with him going for like 20-year-old women, which is like not an excuse, but I mean, they're consenting adults, so it's fine, but it just makes you like think a little bit about his childhood and like how many of these
dark that is.
child actors in Hollywood like were affected by these nasty ass men who abuse them, and thankfully like not Josh Peck, the other one that I was just talking about. No, sorry, the other
Oh,
guy,
Drake Bell.
Drake Bell. Thankfully, he had parents that like advocated for him. But if you haven't listened to that episode, they're doing 2 parts. So I listened to part 1, and part 2 I think is coming out. So it was just really like just sad, but it was also kind of like I enjoyed listening to it because you realize how much chemistry they had, and it's like when they were back together, they were just like you could feel the chemistry without even watching the video. So it was a really cool like listen.
I will listen. I've seen clips, and from what I've seen, I've liked it, but it seems like hard to swallow because it's just, I feel so bad that like this is how these beloved childhood actors, their lives turn out. It's so sad.
It is sad, but I will say it had me thinking, like these 2 men who have been through a lot were able to like really get on each other's level and like have deep and hard conversations. And I thought that was really inspiring because I know for like us, it's like easy for us to like talk about anything. I'll talk about anything with anybody, but like for men, I think it can be really hard sometimes to like have those deep conversations
and be vulnerable
and
share that out with the world. Yeah,
and he did it. So yeah, that was like our depressing segment, but I had to go over that with you.
Well, this is a Cheers Out exclusive. I haven't even talked to Connor about this. I started reading a book today called Quit Like a Woman. Have you heard about that? It's Quit Like a Woman, and the tagline is something along the lines of the radical joy.
I got you.
The radical choice to stop drinking in a society that's obsessed with alcohol. And it is so enthralling. Like this writer is brilliant. She was a corporate person and like a medical, like not a literature background or anything like that. She just is a captivating like storyteller. And so she quit drinking alcohol a while back, but she's making the argument of how alcohol keeps especially women down. Like we think it's this liberating thing, and like wine culture and mommy wine culture and all these things, and it's like you're drinking poison, you're poisoning yourself. And so it's just kind of like I think I'm trying to like scare myself straight in some ways and like convince myself, because I've gone back and forth and talked about it for almost a year at this point. But
it's a good conversation to keep having, because if you're feeling this way, other people are of going back and forth on it.
It is. Well, because it's like, and she makes the point like, oh, well, you know, all my friends, like I had a friend that had a bad date on Hinge. So she comes over with like a cup of like Jack Daniels and is just drinking it warm, which like
could never be.
I don't do that. But then she said she's in this room of like these intelligent, qualified, smart women. And the one girl is like, I'm just going to go into my alcoholic phase, because she has this. And she's like, I look around the room and all the women look relieved because we've all been in that spot. And it's normal to say these things because it's just what culturally we've had. And like the number of alcohol related deaths in women has risen for like 89% between 2002 and 2012.
Oh my God.
So almost doubled.
Wow.
So it's really something. I'm enjoying the science behind it too.
You're very science driven.
Well, I'm a very data driven person. Like that's just how I view things. That's how I can convince myself of something, right? Because I think the thing with drinking for me is like, morally, it's not wrong. I'm not doing anything illegal and I'm not whatever, but it's like, I need more to really convince myself. I think like completely cold turkey. I think that's like what's in the future for me. And I've like toyed with that thought for a long time, but it seems intimidating and it feels scary that I would miss out on things. And so I think this book is like trying to help me rewire my brain into thinking like it's not missing out. You're giving yourself more.
I was about to say you actually get more from the situation.
Yeah.
So I went on that 2-week hiatus. I think I had overdrank one night and it was on a weekend, but it was a social event. And I will not drink at all during the week. But say like we're hanging out on the weekend or we go to like a brewery and I just cannot control myself. Like I don't have an off button.
You don't have a regulator is what the guys always say.
No regulator. And like it's fun until it's not.
Exactly.
And I think it hit me too of like whenever your kids are seeing that and like I saw this TikTok and it was like you think you're being more fun to your kids, but your kids look at you whenever you're like that and they don't recognize you. They're thinking like, why is this person like being like this? And so, you know, I thought, well, okay, even with like book club, well, I won't be around the kids. So like I'll have a drink. So that was like my first drink in like 3 weeks. And I only did like 1.5 glasses.
Yeah.
I felt fine, like totally fine, barely even buzzed, but it was wild because the next morning I woke up, I had a freaking headache. I was like, I didn't even drink hardly.
Well, and it's like because you're drinking ethanol is what it is, which is what is used to make jet fuel and gas and plastic. And it's this thing that we socially have it just in like, LOL, this wasn't supposed to be just like a lighthearted.
No, it's fine.
And
It's
that's
fine.
my friend I'm on drinking. But it's just like heavy on my mind today. And I think like I am moving towards that point in my life where, and she talks about it too, because she's like from California. She's like, I did the green juices and I was a size 0 and I did Pilates and I didn't eat gluten. But I was poisoning myself with alcohol, like all these things that we do to try to be healthy. And like, I'm so guilty of it, of like, I'm going to make my own bread. I'm not buying store-bought this. I'm not this, but I'm going to drink a bottle of wine. Like it's literally, I'm putting things in my body that are linked to breast cancer directly, to 7 types of cancer. Plus it's sugar, sugar, which is what cancer eats. So it's like, what are we doing? And she compares it to like the cigarette industry. And how in the 50s, they would take pictures of like actors pretending to be doctors smoking and be like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. And she's like,
that's what
alcohol is the new cigarette. Like
that's wild to think of that, because what people have tried to say is like vaping is the new cigarette. And like, it's really, which it is in its own way, but you're so right about alcohol because it's pushed everywhere.
Well, think about, they used to smoke on planes. Now when you get on a plane, if you're in first class, you're getting a free glass of champagne, right? Like, and I think the alcohol was always a component there, but especially in our generation, like
and with
our
parenting.
age group, yes. But like we were raised in like the era of like Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan, like being obviously on drugs, and like Jersey Shore where everyone's drunk, and it's so funny for everyone's so drunk, and it's like alcohol is so glamorized for us, and I think it's also just so acceptable for raising kids. And it's like you're saying, like, I think I'm like, oh, I'm more relaxed, but it's like you're saying it's not, but I'm not being the person I need to be.
The video, I wish I would have like even just saved it. It really hit me because like just being like totally transparent, like when we were over here and I like had too much champagne and I'm up dancing, like singing, and like to me I'm thinking I'm being fun, and I remember like looking over at Addie and her, like she's so in tune with everything. She's kind of like, I see the look in her eyes, she's kind of questioning me, like, why are you up? Like, and not that I won't up and dance like sober, but she could tell in that moment that like something was off, and that like kind of after that, and I didn't even tell like Matt or you, like anybody, like that was kind of the moment that really got me, where I was like, I need to stop this. And I don't know what that looks like for me yet. Like I said, like book club, I enjoyed 1.5 glasses of wine. I was fine. So maybe like if I do a social event, just trying to like regulate myself. But I think like around my kids, I've just got to stop. For now, while they're little. And I don't know what that looks like long
That's
term.
how I feel. I don't know what it looks like, but I know that like it's contributing to poor sleep and anxiety and these things. And it's I want you to read this book at some point because it is very interesting. Now I will say she is hardcore, very liberal California person. So our listeners, I think, are all over the spectrum. It does not bother me, but a lot of her stuff is like very much like about the feminist march and and like relating it to that. And I wish that this was just like from a human perspective as well, because I think this is a conversation that men should be having with themselves too.
Yeah.
But anyways, just wanted to put that out there. But
it's got to be the women to fix it first, you know.
Oh, for sure. Well, and like I get it. She's writing it from her perspective, so it makes sense. But it's just like it's crazy. I mean, it is a crazy concept. And when she's breaking it down, like the actual warnings of what alcohol does for you, it's the only thing you buy at the grocery store that's a consumable thing that doesn't have the nutritional facts on the back. It's wild. So anyways, I'm enjoying reading the book. I'm enjoying like the statement. It's kind of like on culture and talking about that and you know, just trying to like gain control. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. She said like it's an A-B. Everything you put in your body has an A-B reaction. You've got your A reaction, but the B reaction is to that A reaction. So yes, having a glass of wine may make you feel A, relaxed. But then there's always an equal and opposite reaction. So the B is that the anxiety is going to come back and fight that also. So you're creating this cycle that you can't get out of.
Well, and I will say, so like for the 2 weeks that I had like I'll just say 3 because it was almost
Yeah.
3 full weeks. 3 full weeks. Like I had like it was just funny. Like I kept count of the amount of opportunities I had where like I was invited to drink or I could have drank. It was like 5 times
Mhm.
within those 3 weeks, which is pretty crazy. That's pretty high
Yeah.
of like the times that like I would have had no regulator and just like had way too many glasses of wine. But even like Connor's birthday, we went out to that arcade,
Mhm.
which was so fun. And I was going there and I told you guys like I'm not gonna drink, but I'm challenging myself to like let go of
Mhm.
kind of that like piece of myself that normally I
Yes.
hold on to if I don't have a drink and like I'm just gonna have fun and like
Yes.
be crazy and silly
Yes.
without it. And I really enjoyed myself. It
Yeah.
was a blast. And I think like it's just that mental piece of okay, I'm gonna lay this out and like I'm gonna be myself and I can be goofy
Mhm.
without anything
Yes.
helping me out in that
Yes. Yes.
situation.
Yeah. No,
But it's like letting that piece of yourself
it
go. It's a
is.
piece of control.
It is.
And it's the control that like I
Mhm.
so desperately crave in every
Yep.
aspect of my
Yep.
life. And then if I'm saying like, oh, I don't need any tools now, I can just let go and I can be silly and I can have fun. It's like, oh, really? Like I can?
Yeah.
And it's learning that piece of me.
Well, and that's the scariest part, right? Because you're not numbing yourself. And that's like,
Mhm.
that is what's scary. And I don't think a lot of people realize that's what they're doing when they're drinking. It's not something I was thinking that's why I do what I do. But it is like that kind of numbing of life and your senses. And we're not meant to live like that. We are meant to feel things and move through the thoughts and the emotions and the feelings. And it's
Mhm.
important and it's valid. And it should be something that we're trying to do more of, not less of.
And embracing all the moments.
Yes.
It sounds so silly, but I think like especially as like we're getting older,
Mhm.
you're approaching 30 and I've already hit 30.
Already.
Embracing these moments, like I don't want them to be clouded. Like I want to be able to like look back and like just say like
Yeah.
I was there like fully. And
Yes.
but that also speaks to like when I disassociate
Mhm.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things to work
There's
on if
so
I
many
want to live within
things.
that.
Correct. But like, why am I going to give myself something to
Mhm.
make myself less
Yeah.
present
Mhm.
in this phase of my life? Like it's
It's
such
already
a
hard enough not to disassociate.
literally.
I don't need alcohol to
No.
also
So
aid that.
yeah, so that's where like I'm at right now. I'm not setting a time limit on myself because I don't work well under strict parameters. In my brain, I'm kind of
You know
thinking
that.
like give it the month of April and see, like that's my challenge to myself.
And if you break it, that's just know it's okay.
It's okay, but I'm really, really not wanting to. Like I
Well,
I
know
guess
that
it's
I'm
not
here
April yet.
to support you
Yeah.
because I mean truly like I just don't have any like I think my kind of like want to is kind of like
Mhm.
gone until, you know, it's like your birthday weekend or whatever. But
Well,
it's
but
like
isn't it so
situations like
no,
that.
I'm reading but like how crazy because I'm reading
Yes.
this book today and I'm like, oh, but my 30th birthday's coming up. So I'll have to probably start this in July, but then I'm gonna go to Michigan with the family. So I can't. And
Mhm.
it's like, how much of my life am I
It's
centering
revolving around
alcohol? Because that's really
Uh-huh.
what it is. And it's like, or I could just go on my birthday trip and we can just have fun. We don't have to go
Yes.
to a winery. We can go
Yes.
tubing on the river or cook food or play games. Like
And
I
not be
enjoy
miserable the
those
next
things.
day.
Right. And like I don't care if anyone else wants to drink, but like I have to get better about not feeling that like FOMO in that way. Or if I drink that
Yes.
one weekend, like
Then
okay.
it's okay. It's your birthday. Like
But it's hard for me. I'm like a very much all or nothing
Yeah.
person. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like you saying you can have like a glass and a half of wine at a book club. Like that's just not my personality when I'm in those
Yeah.
settings.
Yeah.
And I know that about myself and it's hard to admit, but it is just like it's just who I am. Like I'm a very much like
Mhm.
let the good times roll person.
Oh,
Once
yeah.
I'm feeling good,
Oh.
I'm gonna keep it going.
Me at happy hour with my coworkers.
Literally.
Like,
Literally.
I mean, I just yeah, I totally get it. And this is like a really vulnerable spot to like be in and like voice these
Mhm.
things, but I'm glad we are able to because it's like an ever evolving thought. It's like we want to get there. It's like, but how do you? And I think it's just
It's a
learning a lot about
journey.
yourself.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, and I think it's like if we're all being honest about what we're doing, because I don't think we're alone in that
No.
concept. It's like, but no, it's the elephant in the room. No one's addressing the
Mhm.
quantity and the amount of time and the amount of money and the amount of disassociating and the toll on your relationships and everything else. You know, it's like we're not
Mhm.
talking about it, but it is present.
It is. And I think seeing people, and I'm not going to name names, but like seeing people in social situations when they do like not have a drink, they choose not to just and you ask why and they're like I just don't want to. Like I have so much respect for that and like those people are leading the way.
Yes.
Like or I don't think she'll care if I mention it. Like Grace, like she's
Mhm.
very like I'm good. Like, I know how alcohol makes my body feel, and I don't want to partake in that.
Yeah.
And like, those are the people leading the
Well,
way
it's so
in social
inspiring
situations because you're like, oh, like you're able to like have fun and do
Yes.
these things without it. Like, maybe I can too. So it's inspiring to see
Well,
that.
I agree because I feel like I am so not that person, and like I am like go with the wind kind of like I don't know what the phrase I'm trying to say is, but like if everyone's doing it, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, it'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like to have that level of self-control is like really something that inspires me, and a place I would like to get to with everything. With eating, with drinking, with fitness, with all those things, like being in control. Cause it's like you were saying, I crave that control in so many ways, but I'm setting myself up for failure by doing these kind of self-damaging
That actually puts
things.
you out of control. And then the next
Correct.
day, it's like, because I've had it so many times, it's anxiety. It's
Oh my
like,
God.
what did I do? Like, what, did I say anything? And,
Yes.
you know, it just like eats you alive. And like
Terrible.
you said, it's just that cycle. So,
Terrible.
yeah,
That's that on that.
I love that. What was the name of the book? Say it one more time.
Quit Like a Woman.
Okay.
Quit Like a Woman. I can't think of the author's name. It's over there by my bed. Back from our momentary pause. Quit Like a Woman, The Radical Choice to Not Drink in a Culture Obsessed with Alcohol by Holly Whitaker.
I like the
For
cover
anyone
a
that's,
lot.
yeah, interested. But yeah, it's this is funny. We drink at baby showers and work events, brunch and book clubs, graduations and funerals.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
no one questions alcohol's ubiquity. In fact, the only thing we ever question is why someone doesn't drink. So it's that kind of
speaking right to us.
yeah, I feel targeted. So anyway, okay. Well, let's talk about what we came here to talk about.
I convinced you to watch Adolescence, which I'm so excited about. That is the 4-part series on Netflix. If you have not watched it, you need to stop what you're doing. Actually, finish this episode. And then you need to turn on your TV.
Actually, go watch it so we don't spoil the whole show.
Yeah. Actually, do pause us. Dang it. Because we will be
Spoiling it completely. I mean, there's not much to spoil, really.
Well, what's funny is I thought it was pretty straightforward, and Matt's trying to guess the killer the entire time. And I'm like, no, but babe.
Connor did the same thing, and I was like, no. So
it's actually okay, so we're going to get to it.
Yes.
But what drew me in, so I actually didn't even know what this show was about when I started watching it. All I knew was that with the hour-long episodes, they do one entire, what would you say that? Like a take.
It's one take.
Yes.
So they don't cut. There's no cut scenes. And I'm so glad you told me that, because I don't know that I would have necessarily noticed that was what was happening. But their transitions from person to person, they do it so beautifully.
Okay. Did it make you a little dizzy though?
No, but I think because I had been warned. If I had just gone into it, I think I would have been like, something about this is weird and I can't identify what it is. But the way they throw it to other characters to move, it was masterful. Like, seriously.
It is. Have you seen there's a TikTok and it's like I think I sent this to you guys, the cameraman for Adolescence, and it's like he's rolling out of the garage and then like running down, because they will they'll take you from like walking through halls of the police station to they're riding in a car now, and you're with them the entire ride.
Yeah.
And so like some of the episodes are a little slower, but you feel immersed.
Immersed is the best way to describe it.
I nerded out about this so hard.
And honestly, I told you yesterday, I was so excited to go down the TikTok rabbit hole, and I didn't even look up a single TikTok.
Oh,
so
okay.
but that means you get to share them with me, which is even more exciting.
So the fun thing about like going down the TikTok rabbit hole is people are sleuths. Like, they're just so smart. I would have never noticed like some of these things, but you can see where they okay, well, first of all, let me back up. So like the first episode, they did it in 2 takes. That's all it took.
That's insane.
The very last episode it took 12 takes. But what they had to do some of the times, like say you would get to minute 45, well, you're almost done. If they mess up, you have to decide, are you going to improv or are you going to cut it? Is it so bad? So there are a little mess ups that they've left in there because they were able to improvise their way through it.
That's amazing.
And the little boy who acted, he did a lot of improv in this.
He was so good. It was well, okay, wait. Should we explain what the show's even about?
Yes. I just get so excited. Let's explain the premise of the show.
Yes.
So it is a somewhat like normal family. It's a mom, dad, a younger, it's a son who, how old is he in the 13. Okay. And then a teenage daughter that's about to go off to college.
She's 17. And this is also in the UK. So if you like accents,
this is right up your alley. And it starts right off the bat with their version of FBI, whatever, barging into the house. They go right into the son's room and they tell him that he's being charged with murder. And the family is flabbergasted. What's going on?
Their
Tell me,
13-year-old
like,
son.
what is happening? Like, there's no way. He's a meek, like gamer, kiddo.
Yeah.
Honestly, your typical 13-year-old you would see nowadays.
I love their casting choices because everyone looked their age.
Yes.
The kid that looks like a 13-year-old, and I think that is what makes it more heartbreaking because it's like, oh, like he's so little. And
Well,
he's
he
like,
even like in the beginning, in the first episode, like whenever they're arresting him, he wets himself and it just shows his age. And they're like, can I get another pair of pants? And like the police are so nice there.
No, I texted you in the first episode and I was like, if this is the justice system in the UK, we're on our way. Because they were literally, which like, why do I need the police to be nice? But it was just like indicative of the culture because they were so, oh, have you eaten breakfast today, lad? Like oh, you want to get another pair of trousers? It was like,
yeah, he was being charged. They still treated him. I think the difference was like what we saw, at least from a fictionalized story, they treated him like he was still human and they still treated him like he was a kid.
Yes.
He was accused of murdering a classmate of his,
A
a girl. And so they take him into the station. And I guess in the UK, you're allowed to have like one person with you. So that he chose his dad. And that's kind of his representative, separate from his lawyer.
They call it the appropriate adult, which in America, you have to do something similar with minors, but it's not called an appropriate adult. And I don't know that your parent can be that person. I think it has to be like a proxy that's a point. I can't think of what it's called.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about,
yeah,
but it's not a family member that I know of.
No.
And so the dad is in this interview room with him, and the police, they're asking him, like, what did you do? And he's like, I don't know anything. I didn't do it. I didn't do
anything wrong. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Then they show the video.
They show a CCTV footage of him pushing this girl to the ground and stabbing her 7 times.
No. So well, maybe I caught this wrong. I thought that they just showed that was him beating her up. Was that the actual video of her? That was of him in the act.
That was my understanding. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But and I wouldn't have known this if it wasn't for TikTok. His language changed from I didn't do it before they showed the video. They showed the video of him with this girl, and then he changes it to I didn't do anything wrong. And like, talk about freaking chills, because like he's trying to justify in his mind why he would kill this classmate of his.
Yeah. And the dad, what a horrific position to be in. Like, he watches it and he's like, what have you done? And it's so.
And the son tries to reach for him and he turns and he turns away from him because he like can't even stand to look at him at that moment, because he sees like the monster that he was in that moment.
Well, because he was defending him the whole time. My son, he's 13. And then he watches.
All he does is stay in his room and play video games. But my question was, so this happened at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, why is a 13-year-old out on the streets at 10 o'clock at night and your parents don't know where you're at?
But it seems like that was the culture because all of those kids were out like that.
That's true.
So I don't know. But so that was the first episode. Then like getting him into the, like holding cell area, interrogating him. His family is like, no way. And then you find out that he did do it.
Matt thought that it was the sister. He was like, well, I think that she saw how the girl was treating her brother and she got mad and went and killed her. And I was like, no, so the killer isn't going to change.
It's not a mystery.
It's not a mystery. This is the psychology behind
and how it affects everyone. So it is a slower show for sure, but it was an interesting take on these violent crimes, what that looks like for people involved. So the second episode, the detective and his partner go to the school and they're trying to talk, and they see how just god awful these kids are.
Yeah. The kids are awful. Some of the teachers are too. Awful. They're not even in the room. Something, another TikTok thing that I saw pointed out was, it seems like the males, like they're trying to run this, like this school, this area. And like, even down to whenever, the teacher who was leading them around to classrooms, she introduces the male detective and forgets to introduce the woman detective, and then goes, oh, I forgot to introduce you. This is detective. And I just thought that because I wouldn't have even caught that. but it's because it's like about that masculinity piece. Because that's what the kid was like trying to grasp
Struggling
for
with.
this entire time, because he's tiny and he's like kind of seen as like frail, and these kids are making fun of him at school.
They're bullying him. Which is not an excuse for murder, but you see the culture of the school too. And I think that is something we have seen as teachers. I feel like I have seen it very much from being a high school teacher.
You've seen it at high school level.
These parents think their sweet little babies are so young and naive and whatever. And the way they speak and act in school outside of the confines of their parents' supervision is so drastically different. And there's some healthy piece to having different senses of self, right? Especially as teenagers. You should have a little bit of a change in identity between the two. But it is black and white, day and night different
of how they're acting at their school. So disrespectful, even to the detective. Like there is no sense of authority at all. No. They are so disrespectful to the detective. And I was just like flabbergasted. How could these kids, they see a detective come in and they're not scared straight to like act right?
Well, and I think seeing the culture of the school and the kids, you can see how that would have escalated to a point of violence like that. And the parents didn't know anything was wrong. It's just like they didn't have any insight in whether that was like negligent on some ways in their part, but like they are a loving family. It's really sad.
Well, I thought it was interesting too how the detective's son was there at that school, and he's also a kid that's getting bullied because he's just like a little nerdier, so sweet. And he goes to his dad and he tells him, you see these comments on the kid who's being accused of murder. You see these comments on his Instagram and you think like, oh, they're friends, because they kept saying like this girl commented on his Instagram, they're not friends. And he goes, yeah, but she's commenting with emojis, and these emojis mean something deeper. And she was calling him
an incel.
Yes, which just mean, what was that? I looked it up. I already forgot.
They said it was like basically he was going to remain a virgin his whole life. Like he would, but not by choice. And then there was like the thing about the 80-20, 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. Like basically just
like a dog eat dog world. Like if you're not
all these emojis and just like roasting him, and people are liking her comments.
Yes. So, I mean, he did experience like that cyberbullying. And so it does pull into the aspect of these kids that are being bullied at school. And their parents are oblivious to it.
Well, and the kids are clever. That's the thing too. That's why they use emojis. They're not
insane,
saying it explicitly, because then if they did that, they would get in trouble. You can't really punish someone for using an emoji on someone's Instagram post
because you don't know what it is. There's no definitive evidence.
The detectives are like, why would you post on Instagram? Or I think the psychologist asked, why would you post on Instagram? What were you hoping to get out of it? Like someone would like it. And I think it really discounts the fact of like what it is to be in that age group. And I mean, lessons to me as an adult, like that desire. But I can remember the first time I got on MySpace and like posting bulletins and people responding back to it. It gives you that dopamine hit.
Well, and we grew up on the edge of that. These kids are born into social media. Yeah. So that brings us to episode 3 with the psychologist.
My favorite.
She was incredible.
That was my favorite episode. I love and I liked that episode because it was so simple. It was the psychologist and the boy
in this room the entire time.
And I love that line of questioning and thinking is so interesting to me. And he has these violent outbursts and he's like very smart, very intelligent kid.
Yes.
But a little shit. And you can see how he gets to this.
And he does not like that she isn't a point of authority over him. He does not like that whatsoever. Yeah. Like he does not respect. Like I think he just has this like this anger towards women, and he is taking this out on her. Because whenever he could get into positions of power, he was eating it up. And then she would pull back and she would take that power and he would have an outburst.
Go ahead. Not to interrupt you. Did that remind you so much of like whenever you were a behavioral teacher and self-contained?
It did a little bit at the end of it. I don't know why. Why is it making me emotional? Because Matt was like, at the end of the episode, he's like, why is she crying? And I was like, because she just had to put on a face for an hour straight
to be tough
and to interview this kid. And she wants him so much to be good. She wants him to like give her a reason of like what, like to kind of not justify it, but like I think she like wanted him to like be innately good.
Or like maybe he's not mentally capable of understanding the finality. That's like a loophole in a sense, not to get away with it, but like, oh, he mentally doesn't get what death means, or that murder's wrong. And so, but it's like,
because she kept asking those questions, alluding to that, and he fully knew. But the end part got to me where she's sitting there, he's walked out of the room, he's been taken away, and she just like breaks down because she just had to. I was like, she had to put on that face for an hour, and like her heart's broken for this kid because she still sees him as this 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
But he's capable of so much more.
And the way he acted to her, I mean. His outbursts were scary, and standing over her, she stayed so calm. And I mean, as a teacher, you get in positions with kids, and like I was never a behavior teacher, but I had plenty of kids that were in those programs that would come to my classroom, and it is the adrenaline rush you get when you're in an altercation with a kid who's not your child is a very different and specific type of fear that you can't really explain unless you've experienced it.
Yes.
So maybe that is why that was my favorite one, because it really hit home for me.
Yes. Even down to her offering him a sambwich at the beginning. He takes a bite, and by the end of it, she's like, get it away from me. She's disgusted by it. Like, she doesn't want anything to do with it. One of the big improvs, though, from TikTok was on there, and it's whenever she goes, oh, they commented on your Facebook, and he goes, you mean my Insta? And he goes, oh, I see your face is turning red. Did I say something
like
or something?
Yeah.
And they just keep going with it. That was a slip up on her part because she's so like millennial or whatever.
Hilarious.
She said Facebook and it was supposed to be Instagram.
That's so funny because I saw that and I like thought was like, oh, yeah, whatever. But I would not have thought
he
that was
improv that because he is such like this is his first big role, and he was able to like pull that off, and he like put on that game face of like, you mean Insta? Like such a teenage kid at that point. Like
that was when I texted you and I'm like, this guy is such a good actor because I want to beat this kid's ass. Like he is being such a little shit.
Yes.
And then the last episode is his family, his mom, dad, and sister, and it's on his dad's birthday. And it's just that's the piece of the stories like that are so hard and so interesting to me because it's like they have to pick up the pieces and keep living, and their 13-year-old son is going to be incarcerated for the rest of their life. And by the end of the episode, he's saying he's changing his plea to guilty and like finally admitting it. So they have to come to the terms with the fact that their child did do this.
Yeah.
And they were really like a beautiful couple because this could tear apart anybody. And they were like, we're good parents. We did what we thought was best and we tried, and they're like middle school sweethearts. Like I just felt so sad for them.
I did too. I kind of have a look. I felt very sad for them. And it was, but at the end, it kind of got to me when they were like, what did we do wrong? And they're questioning themselves at first, and then they kind of justify it, and they're like, well, we didn't do anything wrong. And it's like, well, there are a couple of times like, which any parent can do better in this. And just because you don't do these things doesn't mean your kid's going to turn into a murderer. But like checking in on him while he's in his room isolated, like you don't know what he's doing on his computer that whole time. And like even the dad, she like kind of tries to blame it on him for a little bit of like, well, he gets his outburst from you. And I just thought that was interesting. But by the end of it, they've justified it. They're like, well, you know, what was this? They said something. It was very powerful that alluded to like, well, they did the same parenting with their daughter and she turned out fine, but like he didn't. And so they're like, we did everything we could have, right?
And like, obviously they could have done more. I think what was powerful about what they were saying though, is that you have two choices in that situation. You can either sit in it and blame yourself.
Which is what the therapist was telling them too.
Right. It solved the problem of today because what is the option is to either justify and rationalize it in their brain in some way or to hate themselves for the rest of their lives. I mean, those are the choices. So whether they definitely could have done different things, but it's like you said, I mean,
anybody could though, and that doesn't mean their kid's going to go and murder
there are way
classmate.
Worse parents that are like doing meth in front of their kids,
and their kids turn out like perfect.
Their kids go on to be the vice president of the United States. You know what I mean? Like. And then you've got this situation, like normal middle class family.
You just empathize with them so much. I'm sorry, what did it remind you of?
Oh, no, you're fine. 19 Minutes. Which I talked about it in book club the other day. If you've never read 19 Minutes by Jodi
makes me want to like
it's about a school shooting, but it's like early 2000s. Like I think it came out like Columbine-y time. It is a hard book to read, but it is a very beautiful book to read because it goes into the perspectives of so many people. So it's about a school shooting. It's centered around the judge that has to try him. She knew the school shooter whenever he was a kid. Her daughter and him were friends. Her daughter, who was there at the school shooting, who like her friends died, her boyfriend died. The school shooter, his parents. It's like every like everyone full 360 view of it. And that book changed a lot for me in the way that I view like empathy and understanding that like that mom thought she was giving him space and privacy and letting him be a man and do his own things. And it's like these little actions add up, and then eventually there is a person that's standing in front of you and you may not recognize them.
Yeah. Well, and you were about to say like with the daughter, I just felt so bad for her. She's about to go off to college, and the parents are even trying to figure out, do we move? Like, what do we do? And the daughter's sitting there saying like, it's going to be okay for a few months and then they're going to figure it out and I'm going to have to relive all of this again.
And what I thought was interesting about what she said was that it'll be fine at first, but then that is all will be. At least here, like we have they have the pre-murder identity, but I don't know. What would you do if you were in that situation? Would you move?
I mean, you can't run from that.
That's so true.
So I feel like, just staying there. But I mean, what led them to that was because his van was tagged. And I looked up because I didn't know it was a nonce. And I had to look up what that meant. And it's like a
SE,
like a child
offender,
pedophile.
Yes.
And that's what like these teenagers tagged on this dad's van. And it's like they're having to live these repercussions. And but that could have happened anywhere. And
but it was still, I mean, it's hard. I don't know if I'm
seeing
such a
the dad
runner.
break down though so they went to like go get paint to cover up the van. And I think like, so was the dad, was he a producer? Because he's been talking on a lot of shows. Was he seemed to know a lot about like how they film. I don't know if he's just an actor, if he's a producer.
He was amazing. They were all phenomenal actors.
Incredible.
I loved it.
And like you said, it just gave that perspective of like, how does it affect the family, this wholesome family that like they did the right thing. They let like they knew that he was guilty and like they let that part of him go. But yet like they still took his phone calls and everything, like, because how do you like just turn that off? You don't. But that was just like the psychology behind that show. That's why I'm so obsessed with it now. And I need everyone to watch it because it does make you just like, what leads, because I want to know like what leads to a child killer. Because it's just scary. The world that they live in. And it's these days, and our kids are going to be growing up into this world, and it's just scary. And no, I don't think our kids will ever kill, but
like, it's so different than the world we grew up in, and I think that's what everyone faces. But it's still just like, like you said, they're going to grow up in this world, and how do we protect them and prevent these things from happening?
But sometimes I guess there is no. I liked your point. Like they did basically everything right that they could have, and it's like he still did this, and so
who knows if they had done things differently, maybe he would have still done it. Like
that's
you
so
can't play
true.
that blame game with yourself because at the end of the day, he made a decision, and at his age, I think if anyone that is doing violent crimes at that age does not understand fully what that permanence is, because he kept saying in his interview with the psychologist, she was such a bitch. She was a bitch, right? Didn't you think she was a bitch because she was like bullying him and
trying to justify it in his mind, but it's like he can't even think that far ahead.
Like, and she can be like, it doesn't matter if she's a bitch or not. Like she's dead, and any chance she had of being something else, you took away from her. You took away from her family, and it was just God. It's like, what a terrible situation. And I mean, things I did when I was 13, I would be ashamed of that as an adult. And whenever you make decisions that big, though, like killing someone or whatever, you don't get to come back from that. And so I like mourn for what that life would look like for that kid. But and
I know this is all, we're so into it because it's like, yes, it's fictional, but it's so real. And I think like this probably happens,
more than we'd like to think,
more than we would like to admit that it happens all over the world. And so just thinking like, how can you just, I don't know, just how can you provide your kid with like the basis for what they need, and then they have the choices before that, but at least like not having that full regret, like that I've really messed up my kid. At least just trying your best. How do you do that?
To me, the biggest thing, which I am not by any means an expert, but I think making your kid feel comfortable to be able to come to you when there's a problem.
That's so true.
Like keeping that open line of communication, because that child and this is fictitious, but still, that child did not see another way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had to handle it himself. He had to be a man and handle it himself. And I think I like hope that Fielding always, and Addie and Tucker are my kids too, feel like they can come to us with problems.
Yeah.
Like, that is my help.
One of my biggest things as a parent, like I've talked to Matt about, is like I want, and it starts now at this age, but like by the time they're teenagers, I want them to be able to come to me and like me not have a big reaction. So then they know like, okay, I'm going to handle it in one way or another, but like you're still safe. You are safe to come to me about anything that's going on, whether you did something or someone else did something. I need you to come to me.
And I think that level of devotion and communication kind of eliminates the possibility that your kid is also going to be the perpetrator of those really bad things, right? Because if they can respect you and connect with you in that way, they're not going to lash out and hurt people necessarily the same way. Now, it's not to say it's not going to happen, but like we have to model that, that good, healthy, loving, empathetic personality. And it's a challenge, but I haven't killed anybody yet, so I think I'm gonna be okay.
I think you're okay. I think you're in the clear.
I do have to say that I have diagnosed myself, as always, with a disorder that I think whenever I watch a show with people with accents, I think I have an accent.
You turn into Peppa Pig.
No, literally. I like
the kids who watch Peppa Pig and they start having accents.
Yes, that's me. Connor had a dispute with something with Uber Eats, and I was like, "Did you get it sorted?" When have I ever said anything like I this is a problem.
Okay, so do you need an intervention, or do you want me to like tell you that it's fine and you just keep doing it?
I just think what I want to happen is like to just fully go for it and have a British accent now, and I just need everyone to like be okay with it.
You're gonna have to live there. You gotta move.
Yeah, I mean that's all you gotta do. You know, as I was watching it, I was looking up neighborhoods to live in the UK.
Well, it looked so quaint, like their neighborhoods and how they were able to just like bike from one place to another, and it's like in still like the British countryside.
I've romanticized the UK so much right now. I don't know what's happening. I started watching The Tudors a little bit, like Tudors, about Henry VIII, who killed all his wives.
Oh, okay. Is this like a historical fiction? Okay, interesting.
I've only watched first episode.
Yeah,
I mean, I know the stories.
What's it on?
But Amazon.
Okay,
it's older. It's from 2007. I didn't realize it, but I had the biggest crush on Jonathan Rhys Meyers whenever I was a kid.
I don't know who that is.
He was a dad in a movie, so I had a crush on him.
Of course. It makes sense.
Anyways, but he's so handsome and he plays the king. And so it's like, it's just an interesting time in history and it's so crazy. Like, and that's where like Bloody Mary comes from, that saying.
Ooh,
and like
interesting.
These wives and daughters fighting.
Yeah.
And you know, him killing all of his wives and stuff.
Okay, all right. Well,
so anyways, lots of death going on around here.
Yeah, that's really heavy. I haven't watched anything else since then. So you should definitely go watch it if you haven't. Definitely 10 out of 10, and then go down the TikTok rabbit hole because it's even more fun.
TikTok rabbit hole. I'm eating it there after this.
Yes.
We are gonna make a meatloaf tonight.
We are. So we were trying to figure out what to do for Fam Bam dinner.
Fam Bam.
And I was like, well, I found this salad. I was like, well, I kind of really want, inspired by shepherd's pie still, meatloaf and mashed potatoes.
That is my comfort. If anyone says a meat that's preferably ground beef based, because I'm trashy, and potatoes, I'm in. I also would love to get corn.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I have canned corn. But we could get corn on the cob if we don't.
Well,
I know how your kids feel about corn.
They love corn on the cob. But both of us texted at the same time. I've never made meatloaf, and so we decided we're going to try to make meatloaf. I ordered everything for it. So
my mom makes it all the time.
Put a bunch of meat together.
Yeah.
With like an egg and some seasonings. And I think
like breadcrumbs, I think a little bit.
I don't think I can mess up a meatloaf.
My mom told me, because I texted her at like midnight last night asking for a recipe, which my mom's in Georgia. So it was like 2 a.m. her time. But she said she just
at midnight to plan the dinner, so
we were hungry. But there is a meatloaf like seasoning packet you can buy.
Oh, well, I didn't buy that, but I did buy. It's called like chili sauce. It's a Heinz brand chili sauce, and it's supposed to be a little bit more acidic than ketchup, and it goes on top. So that's what it recommended that I use. So I bought it, and we're gonna have a delicious dinner tonight.
What type of potatoes did you get?
Russet potatoes.
Solid.
For like we can peel them and just do some regular mashed potatoes, like. Whip those babies up. is what I want. I'm so hungry. It's 3:30 and I've had like a half a waffle.
Yeah,
and I'm so hungry.
Had one small plate of mac and cheese, only no protein, and
I'm gonna need to eat before the meatloaf.
Yeah, we might have to break into my emergency beef sticks in the car. My emergency Slim Jims.
They're not chomps.
Nope.
They're just Slim Jims.
Yeah, I bought them when we were at testing. Remember?
Wait, have they been in your car the whole time?
Yeah, they're Slim Jims. They don't go bad.
Even in the heat, you don't think like you think they're fine?
I still eat them.
I like that you called it it's an emergency fund.
It's my emergency beef jerky.
How else am I supposed to survive if I get stranded on the side of the road?
No, I got really excited one day because I was like, oh, Connor, I'm so hungry. And I was like, oh, my beef jerky. He's like, why do you have a box of Slim Jims in the car? Like, you think he's so happy?
Well, I'm having to boycott Chomps because apparently they're putting metal in their stuff.
Courtney is radioactive now.
I'm gonna buy like Archer is another brand apparently. I don't know. I've tried one brand and it like made me gag. So I'm very picky about my like beef sticks. It has to depend on like the texture and the consistency of the beef. So
I ate buffalo jerky whenever I was in high school.
Yeah, how was that? Was it gamey?
It was fine. Yeah, a little gamey.
Yeah, I've had like buffalo burger before. But it's just like real. I'm like, why? Why am I eating buffalo when I could just eat a cow?
Yeah.
It's just easier.
You're not wrong. It's just like a crazy question to pose.
It's just, why am I eating buffalo though?
Yeah.
It's like a sacred animal. Why am I eating that?
Like, you're right. But it's just like, did I expect you to hear anyone ask that question in this lifetime? No.
One thing about me, I'm going to ask those questions.
Very philosophical of you. Why buffalo when cow?
Bringing it back.
Yeah, amen. Okay, well,
time to log off so we can go eat. Not starve to death. All right. Cheers, y'all. Thanks for listening. Bye.